Hi everyone. Fishing is one of the secondary professions. I'd argue that it's one of the most fun professions. It is also a very effective way to level cooking, assuming you pick up a few recipes. Fishing can also be used to gather materials for alchemy. As fishing is a secondary profession, you can always get it regardless of other professions. You can level it in any pool of water deep enough to fish in. The required skill depends on which zone you are in. You can also apply lures to increase your fishing skill and lowering the chance of a fish getting away. Running along the coastline, rivers or lakes, you might find schools of fish. Which fishes that might be there depends on your zone. Some fishes are unique to certain zones, such as the Deviate fish from the Barrens. Speaking of the Deviate fish, they are a good example of why fishing can be something out of the ordinary. Besides just catching food to eat, you can get other things. The Deviate fish is partly used for the savory Deviate delight recipe, that is, cooking the Deviate fish with mild spices to get the savory Deviate delight. Eating it will turn you into either a ninja or a pirate. The fish can also be eaten raw, in which case it can have a number of different effects. You might fall asleep for 30 seconds, or you might get an instant heal for 300 to 500, or a spirit buff for 30 minutes. As people like being ninjas, Deviate fish are worth a little penny on the auction house. Besides schools, you may also find floating wreckage. Some barrels, boxes and driftwood floating in a small circle. Fishing from that may give different labels of Rumsey rum, a consumable which increases your stamina for 15 minutes. You may fish up some strangle kelp, and you may also fish up boxes. These boxes normally contain some silver, leather and bolts of different cloths. These might also have a green inside them. Depending on what zone you are in, you will get different boxes and different kinds of loot out of them. The bolts can be used to craft bags if you find a tailor, which isn't hard. You could also sell it on the auction house, of course. Both bolts and the Rumsey rum are valuable. At 30 plus, with a little luck, you might be looking at up to a gold per looted box. That is of course depending on auction house values. The bolts can always be used to craft bags, and tanks use Rumsey rum as consumables. Another noteworthy school of fish are the oily blackmouth, which can be found in level 11 plus zones, such as the Barrens or Silver Pine Forest. These are used by alchemists to create blackmouth oil, which in turn is used for the free action potion. As these potions are valuable, the fishes are as well. However, the honor system isn't in place yet. The fishes won't be worth anything really. Save them in your bank for later. Fishing schools have a 5% chance to give you a box as well. Fishing 1 to 75 and 75 to 150 are trained at a trainer. For 150 to 225, you'll have to head to Booty Bay and purchase the Old Bass and You book for 1 gold. It can also be sold and bought on the auction house. 225 to 300 is a bit trickier and requires you to find Nat Pagel in Dustwallow Marsh and complete his quest, Nat Pagel Angler Extreme, where he asks you to travel around the world and catch rare fishes. The name Nat Pagel comes from Pat Nagel, who was a game designer for the original World of Warcraft. You can see him talk about the game in the video WoW Classic with Creators. There are a couple of items related to fishing besides just the normal fishing pole. There is the strong fishing pole, bought from a vendor, the big iron fishing pole with a plus 20 fishing, Nat Pagel's Extreme Angler FC 5000 with a plus 25 fishing from a horde-only quest in the hinterlands. The Arcanite fishing pole is rewarded from winning the Stranglethorn fishing extravaganza. There are still a lot of things to say about fishing, but I think I'll make a second part to this video. I'll just briefly mention that the long sought but never found sword, Ashbringer, was hinted to have something to do with fishing. More of that in the second video. Often you find yourself waiting for something, maybe a mob respawn, a teammate for a dungeon run or something like that. And surprisingly often you'll be close to water while doing so. Just whip out your pole and fish away. Whenever you come by a body of water, keep an eye open for the floating wreckage. It's a nice little gold and material bonus, and it's always fun to find one. I hope you're all having a fun time in Classic WoW, and hopefully aren't stuck in queues. Keep an eye out for the second part to come. Like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more.